Las Vegas was glowing that night. Neon lights pulsing, music echoing through the Strip, and the kind of electricity only a city built on spectacle could create. Inside a private lounge at a luxury casino, a small group of rock royalty had gathered after a show. No press, no cameras, just legends unwinding. Eddie Van Halen leaned back on a leather couch, a guitar resting casually against his knee. He was relaxed, smiling, fingers occasionally brushing the strings out of pure habit. Across from him sat Ozzy Osbourne, dressed down, laughing loudly, eyes sparkling with that familiar mix of mischief and mystery that had followed him for decades. The mood was light, drinks clinked, stories flew back and forth, wild tour memories, near disasters, moments only rock legends could survive. Laughter filled the room. Then Eddie smirked. He strummed a playful riff and looked straight at Ozzy. "Hey Oz," he said, half laughing. "Everyone knows you're the Prince of Darkness, but you ever think you could actually handle a real challenge?" The room went quiet for a split second. Ozzy raised an eyebrow. "Oh yeah?" he replied, amused. "And what kind of challenge you got in mind, mate?" Eddie chuckled. "Relax, I'm kidding." He waved his hand dismissively, just saying, "People think you're all chaos, no control, no precision." A few people laughed. Someone added, "Careful, Eddie." Ozzy leaned forward slowly, the smile still on his face, but something had changed. There was a sharpness in his eyes now. "Funny thing about jokes," Ozzy said calmly. "Sometimes they wake something up." Eddie laughed again, assuming it was all banter. "Seaman Oz, it's Vegas. We're just messing around." But Ozzy stood up. The room fell silent. He adjusted his jacket, glanced around the lounge, and said quietly, "So, what exactly is the challenge?" A couple of people shifted uncomfortably. Someone whispered, "Is he serious?" Eddie opened his mouth to laugh it off, but something stopped him. Ozzy wasn't joking anymore. There was no slurred chaos, no clowning, just confidence. Outside the lounge, casino guests began drifting closer, drawn by the sudden tension. Phones appeared, whispers spread. "No way. Is that Ozzy? What's going on?" What started as a harmless joke had just turned into something no one expected, and no one in that room realized it yet. But Las Vegas was about to witness a moment that would shock everyone. At first, everyone laughed. Eddie Van Halen's joke hung in the air like harmless backstage banter, the kind of thing legends throw at each other when the cameras are off and the night is young. A few crew members chuckled. Someone clapped. Another shouted, "Do it for Vegas." Ozzy Osbourne grinned, not the wild, chaotic grin people expected, but a slow, knowing smile. "All right," Ozzy said calmly. "Let's do it." The laughter stopped. Eddie blinked. "Wait, you're serious?" Ozzy nodded. "Why not?" That single moment shifted the energy in the room. What had been a joke suddenly felt real. Very real. They were standing just off the casino floor of a legendary Las Vegas hotel. Neon lights from the Strip bled through the glass walls. Tourists passed by, some recognizing the faces instantly, others sensing that something unusual was about to happen. A small crowd began forming. Someone whispered, "Is that Eddie Van Halen?" Another gasped, "No way, that's Ozzy Osbourne." Phones came out one by one, then dozens at once. Eddie laughed again, but this time it was different, lighter on the surface, tighter underneath. "Ozzy, man, I was just messing around." Ozzy tilted his head. "So was I," the crowd murmured. There was something in Ozzy's posture now. He wasn't slouched or distracted. He stood still, focused, as if flipping a switch inside himself. The performer, awakening. Eddie felt it too. This wasn't about winning. This wasn't about proving anything. But suddenly, it felt like Las Vegas itself was watching. A bartender leaned over the counter to get a better view. Security guards slowed their patrol. Even the background casino noise, the clinking chips, the ringing slots, seemed to fade beneath the tension building between two rock legends. "Yo," someone shouted. "This is actually happening." Ozzy glanced around, taking in the crowd. "You hear that?" he said quietly. "They're waiting." Eddie swallowed and smiled. "You always did love an audience." Ozzy chuckled. Vegas loves a surprise. More people gathered. Tourists who had no idea what was going on still felt the pull of the moment. This wasn't planned. That's what made it electric. A young fan yelled, "Ozzy!" Another shouted, "Eddie!" The room divided without anyone asking it to. Team Eddie. Team Ozzy. And then came the moment no one expected. Ozzy stepped forward. Just one step, but it changed everything. The casual joke was gone now, replaced by raw anticipation. Eddie realized something then. Ozzy wasn't here to embarrass himself. He wasn't here to play the clown. He was here to show up. Eddie exhaled slowly, half amused, half stunned. "Man, you're really doing this." Ozzy's voice dropped, calm but confident. "You challenged me." Silence fell. Even the phone stopped moving. And right before the next moment unfolded, a voice cut through the tension. The narrator addressing the audience watching worldwide. "Where are you watching this from? Comment below. Which country or city are you tuning in from? Las Vegas, London, India, the Philippines, or somewhere else in the world?" Because whatever was about to happen next, Las Vegas would never forget it. At first, everyone still thought it was a joke. Laughter echoed through the private lounge overlooking the Las Vegas Strip. Neon lights flickered through the glass windows, and the distant sound of slot machines mixed with rock chatter and clinking glasses. Eddie Van Halen leaned casually against a couch, his guitar resting nearby, smiling like a man who had just thrown out a harmless dare. But Ozzy Osbourne didn't laugh. Instead, he stood there quietly, head slightly tilted, eyes focused, not wild, not confused, but sharp. That alone began to change the mood. "You serious?" Eddie asked, half grinning, half curious. Ozzy nodded slowly. "Yeah, why not?" The room fell awkwardly silent for a split second. Then nervous chuckles followed. Someone muttered, "Classic Ozzy." Another said, "This is gonna be chaos." A small crowd had already formed. Word spread fast in Vegas when something strange was happening, especially when two legends were involved. Phones came out. People edged closer. No one wanted to miss whatever this was turning into. Eddie adjusted his posture. The smile on his face didn't disappear, but it tightened. This was supposed to be playful banter, the kind musicians throw at each other backstage. But Ozzy accepting it so directly, that wasn't expected. "You know I was messing around, right?" Eddie said. Still light, still joking, but now there was a hint of caution in his voice. Ozzy shrugged. "Doesn't matter. Let's do it." That was when the tension really started to build, Simone whispered. "Ozzy hasn't even warmed up," another replied. "Man, Eddie's a perfectionist. This could get awkward." The energy shifted from playful to electric. The laughter died down, replaced by anticipation. It felt like the moment right before a heavyweight fight, when the crowd realizes this isn't exhibition anymore. Eddie picked up his guitar, more out of instinct than intention. His fingers brushed the strings, producing a soft, familiar sound that instantly reminded everyone why he was a legend. The crowd murmured in appreciation. Ozzy watched him closely. No jokes. No theatrics. Just focus. That unsettled Eddie. Vegas had seen wild Ozzy, unpredictable Ozzy, chaotic Ozzy. But this version, calm, centered, almost intimidating in its own way. "You good?" Eddie asked. Ozzy smiled faintly. "I've been good for decades." That line alone drew a few nervous laughs, but the tension didn't break. People started choosing sides without realizing it. Eddie's got this. Ozzy's about to embarrass himself. Don't count Ozzy out. He's done this his whole life. The strip lights outside flashed brighter as if Vegas itself was watching. A bartender paused mid-pour. Security stopped pretending not to stare. Even people who didn't fully understand what was happening could feel that something unusual, something historic, was about to unfold. Eddie felt it too. For the first time, doubt crept in. Not about his talent, but about underestimating the man in front of him. Ozzy wasn't posturing, he wasn't bluffing. He was waiting for the moment. The joke had officially crossed a line. What started as playful teasing had become a test of presence, confidence, and legacy. Not skill versus skill, but belief versus assumption. And the crowd, they held their breath. Because deep down, everyone sensed the same thing. Ozzy Osbourne was about to do something no one saw coming, and Las Vegas was about to witness it firsthand. The laughter slowly faded. What started as playful teasing had now drawn a thick circle of silence around the small crowd gathered near the casino lounge. Neon lights from the Las Vegas Strip flickered through the glass walls, reflecting off sunglasses, guitar strings, and nervous smiles. Eddie Van Halen stood casually at first, fingers resting on his guitar, still half smiling like this was all part of the joke. After all, it was a joke, right? But Ozzy Osbourne didn't laugh anymore. Instead, he stepped forward. Not dramatically, not loudly. Just one slow step. That single movement changed everything. The crowd sensed it instantly. This wasn't chaos. This wasn't Ozzy being wild or reckless. This was something else. Focus, presence, intent. Eddie noticed it too. The joking grin on his face tightened slightly. His eyes narrowed, not in challenge, but in curiosity. Ozzy adjusted the microphone stand, gripping it the way a fighter grips the ropes before a bout. For a moment, the infamous Prince of Darkness looked strangely calm, almost grounded. Simone whispered, "Wait, is he actually going to do this?" Another voice replied, "Bro, this is Ozzy. You never know." The casino staff stopped moving. Dealers paused mid-shuffle. Even the slot machines seemed quieter somehow, as if Las Vegas itself was holding its breath. Eddie shifted his weight. This wasn't supposed to go this far. He glanced at Ozzy, half expecting a laugh, a shrug, a punchline to end it all. But Ozzy didn't crack a joke. Instead, he looked straight at Eddie, not with ego, not with defiance, but with a knowing smile that said, "You started this. Now watch." That's when Eddie realized something important. Ozzy wasn't trying to compete. He was about to own the moment. The room went silent. Ozzy closed his eyes for just a second, breathing in slowly. Years of stages, years of crowds, years of being underestimated, mocked, written off, and counted out. This wasn't new territory for him. This was home. Eddie's fingers twitched instinctively on the guitar neck. The musician in him recognized it immediately, that invisible shift when energy changes, when a performance stops being casual and becomes real. A tourist in the back raised their phone higher. Someone else whispered, "This is going to be legendary." Ozzy opened his eyes, and when he spoke, his voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the room like electricity. "You know," he said calmly, "people always think I'm just the crazy guy." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the crowd. "They forget," Ozzy continued. "I've been doing this longer than most people here have been alive." The laughter stopped completely. Eddie's smile returned, but this time, it was different. It wasn't playful anymore. It was respectful. Ozzy leaned slightly toward the mic. "No tricks," he said. "No joke." Then he looked at Eddie one more time. Just music. That was the moment. The exact second when everyone realized Las Vegas wasn't about to witness a joke gone wrong. It was about to witness something unforgettable. Somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered the words that would later be quoted online thousands of times. This is where it changes. And they were right. Because from this moment on, nothing about this night would be remembered as a joke ever again. Las Vegas had gone quiet in a way that felt unnatural. Moments ago, laughter had filled the room. Drinks clinked, someone whistled. A few people were still smirking, convinced this whole thing was just another wild Ozzy moment that would end in chaos. But now, no one was laughing. Ozzy Osbourne stood still at the center of the space, shoulders relaxed, eyes half closed like he was listening to something only he could hear. The neon lights of the casino reflected faintly off his dark glasses. The room waited. Eddie Van Halen tightened his grip on the guitar strap, suddenly aware that the joke he'd thrown out casually had turned into something else entirely. Someone whispered, "Is he really going to do it?" Ozzy took one slow step forward, then another. The crowd leaned in without realizing it. He reached out, took the microphone, not dramatically, not arrogantly, just calmly, as if this was exactly where he belonged. For a split second, it felt like time paused. Vegas had seen outrageous performances, surprise celebrity moments, and drunken dares before. But this felt different. Ozzy lifted his head. And then he spoke softly. Two icons, no rivalry, no bitterness. Just respect. Eddie stepped back, laughing. I guess the lesson here is, never challenge Ozzy Osbourne, even as a joke. The room exploded with laughter and applause. Ozzy threw his arms up theatrically. I told you, Vegas brings it out of me. But behind the jokes, everyone could feel it. Something real had happened. This wasn't about winning or losing. This was about humility. About one legend recognizing another in real time. And as Eddie slung his guitar back into place, still smiling, one thing was clear to everyone watching. The joke had ended. But a legendary Las Vegas moment had just been born. The Las Vegas Strip had already seen countless spectacles, extravagant shows, wild parties, and headline-making performances. But nothing quite like what had just unfolded backstage. Eddie Van Halen, the guitar god himself, was still catching his breath, trying to process the shock of Ozzy Osbourne's audacious performance. What had started as a light-hearted joke, a casual challenge thrown between two rock legends, had erupted into a legendary showdown that no one present would ever forget. Tourists, hotel staff, and random passers-by who had wandered backstage were all talking at once. Phones flashed, capturing every incredulous moment. Clips of Ozzy's flawless, shocking performance paired with Eddie's stunned reaction were immediately uploaded to social media, and within minutes, they were spreading like wildfire. Fans across the globe were watching, sharing, and commenting. Did Ozzy really just do that? A fan tweeted from New York. Eddie's face says it all. Number rock legends posted someone from London. Only in Vegas. Only these two could pull this off, wrote a fan from Manila. The hashtag number OZZY'S FICTION began trending worldwide. Within hours, millions of people had seen the video. Some were laughing at the playful rivalry, some were awed by the sheer talent on display, and many were simply stunned that a joke had transformed into a history-making moment. The story dominated not only rock fan forums but entertainment news outlets, music blogs, and viral content platforms. Meanwhile, backstage, the mood was electric. Eddie walked over to Ozzy, extending his hand first. There was a pause, a suspended moment that felt like eternity. And then the two legends shook hands. Eddie's grin was a mix of disbelief and admiration. You weren't joking, he said, still laughing. Ozzy, ever mischievous, just smirked. You said I had to play, he replied simply, his eyes twinkling with that signature unpredictable charm. The crowd of onlookers erupted into cheers, capturing more videos for posterity. Some fans whispered to each other that this was a moment they'd tell their grandchildren about. A story of rock and roll audacity, humor, and ultimate respect between icons. Eddie's bandmates, crew, and even random tourists were all in awe. No one had ever expected a casual joke to turn into a moment so legendary. It felt like history in the making. News outlets picked it up the next morning. Headlines screamed, Ozzy shocks Eddie Van Halen in Vegas showdown. What started as a joke became a legendary rock moment. Las Vegas witnesses rock history live across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Reactions poured in, memes, fan edits, reaction videos, and comment threads full of admiration. Everyone wanted to be part of this shared cultural moment. The clips kept circulating, amassing millions of views in just hours. The story became viral not just because of the talent displayed, but because of the humility, respect, and unexpected humor between two rock icons. By the end of the week, the event had been analyzed, celebrated, and memorialized in countless ways. Fans praised the unpredictability of Ozzy, the authenticity of Eddie, and the rare magic of a moment where skill, charisma, and humor collided perfectly. It was a reminder to the world. Rock legends are human, playful, and sometimes shockingly brilliant. As for Eddie and Ozzy, they didn't bask in glory. Instead, they laughed about the moment, shared a drink, and agreed privately. This joke had created one of the greatest viral moments in rock history. Final takeaway, TA for YouTube. Las Vegas may see thousands of shows, but some moments become legendary. If you believe rock legends can surprise us in ways we never expect, type rock in the comments. And subscribe for more epic stories from the world of music.